talk a little bit about modern racism. I have no clue if this is going to turn into a two-parter or not. However, we're going to look at different organizations, such as the new Black Panther Party. They label themselves as a self-defense black nationalist organization founded in Dallas, Texas in 1989. Despite its name, it is not an official successor to the Black Panther Party. In fact, they have denounced all ties to them whatsoever from that group. Black Lives Matter, the international activist movement. It campaigns against racism towards black people, or at least that's what they claim. Now, we're also going to look at Nation of Islam, which was founded in 1930. It has grown into one of the wealthiest and best-known organizations in Black America. Its theology is one of black superiority over whites and is deeply racist, anti-Semitic, anti-LGBT rhetoric of its leaders has earned it a permanent position in the ranks of organized hate. La Raza, this means the race. It is considered an ethnic or racial unity historically deriving from the Spanish Empire in a process of racial miscegenation of the Spanish colonizers with the indigenous populations of the New World. The Ku Klux Klan refers to 3 points in history of the United States. Each has advocated extremist, reactionary positions such as white supremacy, white nationalism, anti-immigration, later iteration of Nordic beliefs, as well as anti-Catholic, strongly anti-Catholic. They use terrorism, physical assault, as well as murder, intimidation techniques. Neo-Nazism consists of the World War II militant social or political movement seeking to revive and implement the ideology of Nazism. They employ their ideology to promote hatred and attack against minorities, or in some cases to create a fascist political state movement. They have organized reputation in many countries and have international networks. They use elements from Nazi doctrine, including ultranationalism, racism. They are homophobia, anti-Romanism, anti-Semitism, anti-communism, as well as their belief in establishing the Fourth Reich. Racist skinheads, considered one of the most dangerous and frequently violent of the criminal subculture. These men and women typically are imbued with neo-Nazi beliefs about Jews, blacks, LGBT people, and others. They are difficult to track, organized into small mobile crews, or acting individually. They tend to move around frequently and often without warning, even as they network and organize across different countries and regions. These are the ones we're going to mainly focus on. So, Black Lives Matter. You might be wondering why I included it. With so many other organizations, well, it's simple. The racism is racism. Pure truth. The ugly truth is, it doesn't matter what type of shade you are. I find that modern racist movements are accomplishing nothing more than violence as well as turning people against each other. Let's start with the worst one. Black Lives Matter. The name alone shows you they are saying yours does not matter as much as theirs. I say support all lives matter. Yes, I know there are legit cases of some police officers being racist. The key word is some. How can you judge a whole profession for the actions of a small number of people? That is like someone saying that the black guy that raped and killed a white lady, so fuck them all. It seems it really is ignorant, right? When you really think about it. Secondly, I saw a while back members of BLM were saying they want segregation. Really? Was the civil rights movement just forgotten by you guys? They fought for anti-segregation. So everything they fought for, you were like just throwing it away. They make law enforcement feel right away on edge. Even African American officers are on edge. They do their job and get yelled at, filmed, but only from a partial viewpoint, never the whole thing. Or they get shot. Keep that in mind. There are cases of people going on ride-alongs and completely changing their minds. It's very interesting, isn't it? Please don't misunderstand me. Your lives matter. However, all lives do matter. Yours, mine, hers, his, the person across the street. You are not oppressed. Let's think about it. You've had an African American president, the highest position in the military, general, police officers, lawyers, doctors, politicians, teachers, professors, etc., etc., etc. So where's the oppression at? Chances are you are talking about bad neighborhoods, gang members, druggies. Guess what? The police pull people over there that are white as well, Asian and Latin in some areas. That is called profiling in neighborhoods that they are known for drug activity, or gang activity. They also study body language. So if you're acting a certain way, they feel the need to investigate. Or if they get behind your car, stop moving around. Or don't drastically slow down. Don't drastically turn. When you do this, they think that you are up to something, and they will pull you over to investigate. This is truly common sense. So we're moving on to one of the groups I really can't stand. The New Black Panther Party. They consider themselves as a party for self-defense. However, do they really practice self-defense? They were founded in Dallas, Texas in 1989. The surviving members do not consider them part of the original party. The main reason is they did not do anything that Huey P. Newton stood for. The original party was fighting for equality, fighting for their neighborhoods. Now, as far as they go, the NBPP claim they want the same thing. They are anti-Semitic, however. They hate the Jewish people. The leaders are known to yell, they hate everyone, every piece of a cracker. They hate our country, often saying, fuck the red, white, and blue. They say fight for the red, black, and green. Saying the USA flag is nothing more than a doormat, and then they start stomping on it. Unlike the original party, who let white people in, as well as other ethnic groups, the NBP do not, under any circumstances, allow this. They believe the black men are kings of the universe, so they should rule all countries. Their leaders are constantly screaming, we hate all white people. They often march with automatic weapons. They say it is time to kill white people. They attack interracial couples, saying that they are a disgrace to the black race. They practice that they need to kill police. They need to kill white babies. When they find an African-American police officer, they call him a race traitor. When Obama was running, they stood outside voting booths with weapons trying to intimidate people. Understand that the original party worked with multiple races, including white people. This version does not. They are violent. They consistently attack all people who are not black. They believe that they must preserve their race. This is why they do not allow people to be in of other races. And they strongly are against multi-race relationships. They are nothing more than terrorists. They are literally the black version of the Ku Klux Klan. Look very closely what the KKK do and say, then look at the NBP, and you will quickly see they are the exact same. They say they want segregation. They say it's impossible to live with other races. Honestly, Huey P. Newton, Martin Luther King Jr. are probably rolling over in their graves over the NBPP in their actions. We're going to move on to the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam was founded in 1930. It is considered one of the wealthiest African-American organizations. They practice a theology of black superiority over whites. They are deeply racist, deeply anti-Semitic. They are extremely anti-LGBT. They consider themselves Islamic. They consider themselves a political organization. They also are very much against interracial relationships. It has been long considered to be behind Malcolm X's death. A lot of members are accused of killing him, although it has never been proven. They have been known to do a lot for African American neighborhoods. This is very true. Many celebrities has had ties to them. Some come to mind, Tupac Shakur. Tupac had ties to the Zulu Nation also, though. Even President Obama had ties to the Nation of Islam. Napoleon is also a member of the Nation of Islam, which is part of Tupac's entourage. I really do not want to speak on a nation too much at this time, however, I am planning on it. Let me say this. I do have a pretty large number of friends that are Muslims. I have spent some time in different mosques. A lot of them claim that the Nation of Islam are not truly Islamic at all or truly Muslim at all. This is because the Nation of Islam practices racism, advocate violence against non-African Americans. When I say advocate violence, I am talking about extreme violence. When you look at true Muslims, you notice that they consider the Nation of Islam is a cult like Scientology. I do know one thing. Any active group that condones the act of violence against anybody because of their race is and always will be a racist organization. You can try to cover it up with your religion, your race, even acts of charity in neighborhoods. At the end of the day, you are just as hateful, just as racist as the other groups. This is why you grow in numbers, because of your acts of charity, as well as trying to cover up your acts by a simple religion. Ironically, in Middle East countries and in Africa, they say you are not true Muslims. They say this for a very good reason. When I start to cover religions, we will go over these different aspects. I promise you that. La Raza, they are fighting to get back what they lost at the Alamo fight. Their name means the race. Anyone that goes against them, they declare a Nazi or a Ku Klux Klan member. They do not believe in interracial relationships, however, use Native Americans in their group for no other reason than numbers. They believe that their race is superior than all others. Kind of sounds familiar when you think about it, right? They call for a race war against all white people. They will work with other ethnic groups, however, are quick to say that they are more superior than other races. They say that the USA flag should be replaced with the Mexican flag. Our anthem should be replaced with the Mexican anthem. They believe Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Kansas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Missouri all truly belong to Mexico. They say it should be returned. However, their lower level members believe all the USA should be Mexico. They also believe in reproducing for their cause, so more soldiers will be ready for their fight. They recruit street gang members, as well as work with drug cartels, professors, as well as trying to gain an active political party, simply to gain access to our political system. They say they need to kill all law enforcement personnel, and of course, Border Patrol. They feel the need for a race riot war to end our government. They figure they can cause a riot war, it will end our government. If they need to fight with other races, they will. Never forget, though, they preach to their members they are the true race and all others are nothing more than peasants. They like to wear a tan and brown uniform as well as wave Mexican flags. There has been cases of people lowering the USA flag and putting it below the Mexican flag. In a lot of ways, they are the Mexican version of the new Black Panther Party. The only difference is they are willing to work with other races, only until they win their agenda. Then they will put them in their place, they say. Words by one of their leaders. These are actually words by one of their leaders in LA. Realize they are very much about numbers, including reproducing for their cause. Their leaders want a war, and they're willing to use anybody for their cause, but only until they're done. Now we're going to move on to the Ku Klux Klan. They say there's a 3-point system in place for different times. They are recreated. They are strongly anti-Catholic, strongly anti-immigration. They believe in white nationalism. They will resort to intimidation as well as murder as well as terrorism like the rest of the groups. They do not believe in interracial relationships. They believe in segregation. They are members of the Democrat Party for the reason that they started it. They were started by the Democrat Party. Even John Wilkes Booth, who was the famed assassin of Abraham Lincoln, was a Democrat. They wear sheets for 2 reasons. One is secrecy, the other is for cause and effect. Although the first version wore bags, they are viewed as uneducated, backwooted rednecks. However, they are deeply educated. In fact, back in the 1950s and the late 40s, they infiltrated Congress. And the reason, again, is they are so secretive. And they are diehard Democrats as well. They have tried to stop every single civil rights action bill as well as activities. Some were political. The other ones would bomb, burn buildings, intimidate witnesses, attack activists for racial movements, burn crosses. They believe they are Christians, true Christians. They believe the Catholic Church are not true Christians. They teach at a very young age their beliefs to their kids to keep them in their movement. By the time they reach adulthood, most of these kids will be truly loyal to their version and their vision. Earlier, when I said the 3-point system is the 3 times the Klan rose again, each time it was a result of how people felt towards race relations, immigration, and the Catholic Church events. Examples like pedophilia going on right now. They do believe that they are a Nordic Christian organization. A lot of their doctrine symbols are a result of this. I could go on for hours, but I won't. Understand, however, they are no longer just a U.S. organization. They are now globally. They also have their own newspapers as well as their own news station, all geared to spread their viewpoints while appearing to be professional at the same time. Some of the older members love that the Democrat Party created them. They say to hell with everybody else. Hell, Congress made us, so how could they stop us? You have to understand these little things to understand the organization at their roots. You can't stop something without pure understanding. Neo-Nazis, aka nationalism. They use the ideology of the first Nazis. Ultimately, they are trying to bring it back. Using current events such as social and political events, they use methods of the Third Reich to attack minorities and immigrants. Also, they do this to create a fascist form of government. They are ultra-nationalism, racism, xenophobes, homophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-communism, ultimately wanting to create a Fourth Reich. At a very young age, they are taught to believe that the Holocaust never happened. They believe that the Jews control all government as well as all media. They're extremely violent, believing a race war and creating a chaotic society is the only way to achieve their Fourth Reich. Their members are made to work out in different workout routines, reading and studying material, as well as going to organized meetings. I should bring up the fact that they are achieving an official political party running in some European countries right now as we speak. This is due to so many citizens of their countries being ignored over their concern over immigration. They have used this to grow in numbers at an alarming rate. A lot of people either fear them or consider them warriors for their cause. The other fact is, it is relying on the fact that the mass media in the world is not reporting on them. This allows them to grow. Many members, depending on where they live they live in fortified compounds or rural communities. They do not believe in interracial dating, believing that they must preserve the Aryan race at all causes. They try to only keep members of pure Aryan blood. I'll be touching up on the National Party and the NBP. Strike that, hold on one second. They try to only keep members of pure Aryan blood. I'll be touching up on the National Party and the NBP off and on to the fact that they are growing at a such fast rate globally. They both, even if they do not agree with other groups, they team up as long as they are either fighting for their same racial agenda. They use music, propaganda, and common feelings to both attract youth and keeping them in their movement. A lot of times they say they are not racist. They are truly just nationalists. They say they only want segregation. Without it, they will fight to the death for the protection and purity of their race. They preach interracial datings are killing their superior genes. However, members of the NBP and the Nation of Islam, like it or not, they preach the same thing, just a different skin color. That was my point I was trying to get at. Racist skinhead groups, considered the most dangerous of the nationalist movement. They have a deep criminal subcultures. They align themselves with nationalists, the same nationalist beliefs such as about Jews, black, LGBT, and others. The FBI say they are difficult to track. They organize in small mobile crews, and they often move around without notice. This allows them to network and organize across different regions and even different countries. Also want to point out, there's a difference between skinheads and Nazi skinheads. This is within their music communities, normally punk rock, but there is a difference. When they say they have a criminal subculture, normally this is due to the fact that people join within jail and prison. They join for protection. Then they get brain drained and become loyal, very similar to the Nation of Islam. Both recruit within the prison system. The prison is segregated due to these facts. When they get released, they often sell drugs and recruit all over the place. While they are locked up, they have mandated reading material as well as workout routines. They truly believe they are soldiers for their cause. Often, on the outside of prisons, they are unorganized. They will attack individually for what they view as their cause. This is why they say they are difficult to track and are extremely dangerous. Oftentimes, they are selling and using methamphetamine. They consider weed a color man's drug, saying it causes them to be lazy and is easier for other races to control them. If they smoke it, a lot of times they won't let other people know it. They are normally tatted with Aryan symbols. This dates back to prison as well. They have many names. Some are Peckerwood, Peawood, Nazi Lowrider, Aryan Brotherhood. Females are often known as Featherwoods. There simply are way too many names to name. Almost all are prison gangs, however. In the past 20 years, though, some have formed street gangs as well as organized groups using social media to grow globally. So this is what I meant by this is going to be kind of difficult to cover, and if I lost you in some of that, I apologize. I might go back and redo it. I haven't decided yet. There's a lot of stuff to cover, and the main reason why I wanted to do this was to bring up the fact that simply I feel as though I don't care if you're white, if you're Mexican, or okay, let me rephrase. I don't care if you're Caucasian, Latin, Asian, African, Jamaican, whatever you call yourselves. If you practice hate speech in any shape, form, or way, you practice hate speech. To me, you are no more than the opposite of what you're preaching against. For instance, the NBPP often say they are not a racist group. They are fighting a war to purify their blood, to change reality. They want to take control of certain states to make it an all-black state. Now, I'm sorry, but they are just as racist as the Klan. They both want segregation. They both are against LGBT, the lesbian and gay community. They both hate Jewish people. This includes the Nation of Islam. They all three practice the same thing: anti-gay, extremely homophobic. They do not condone interracial dating. They do not condone, interracial dating is because they all feel that they're destroying their bloodline by creating mixed babies. They believe it makes them weaker. Look, facts are facts here. They're all preaching the same thing. The only difference that there is their shade of skin color or their pigment. Pigment is just that. Pigment. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you are practicing hate speech, then you are a racist. I don't give a fuck what color you are. You could be polka dotted for all I care. If you're going around and you're screaming you want a war, and you want a war against a certain race, and you feel like you're being defeated, and you feel like the only way is to team up everybody and stomp on the United States flag and make a jackass out of yourself, you are just a fucking racist. The only, in the Klan, they're bad, but they're just as bad as the other ones. Everybody always says Nazi, fascist, Klan. That's what you hear them saying nowadays when they're recording police officers, or they're recording soldiers, or they're recording this and that. What do you always hear them say? Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. Well, guess what? The people that taught you that, the Nation of Islam, the New Black Panther Party, Black Lives Matter, they are all forms of modern racism. That's why I titled it Modern Racism. The thing is they're using social media. You see these videos, but do you really see the whole video? Because most of the time they edit out the other parts they don't want you to see. This is the result of them trying to get you behind their movement. Black Lives Matter was started by 2 females, by the way. Not even guys. But yet they are anti-gay. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry to say it. I get it that you guys feel like, they're saying that their lives matter. And they do. But their lives matter just as much as the next person down the street. As far as I see it, all lives matter. I don't care what shade you are. Their life should not be less significant than your life. The very fact that you even title the organization as that is a racist organization. I mean, just in the name alone. I mean, does anybody realize that a while back there was a person giving a rally, right? He wasn't a racist in any form or way. He was actually giving a very well-educated political rally. 2 girls that were members of Black Lives Matter quickly grew into 4 and was screaming and yelling at him, not allowing him to speak, demanding that he gets off the stage. Why would they do that? Because he was trying to expose them for what they are. We're living in a time period right now to where I feel like a lot of this was almost eliminated. And I do believe that back when Obama was running, it kind of was like somebody poured gasoline onto a bunch of almost dead issue. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden in the middle of nowhere, you got some people, forming different organizations. And when he was running, he had Black Panther Party members standing outside of poll booths, waving batons, asking people who they voted for. as a form of intimidation for them to vote for him. Once he lost his presidency to Trump, that just gave him more fuel to work with. All of a sudden, they believe the whole government is a bunch of Nazis. It's not. And honestly, if you're stepping on the American flag and you're trying to say you want to create a own safe space for yourself, a segregated space, I'm sorry, Malik, because I know that's your name, the one that's running the new Black Panther Party. If you hate our American flag so much that you feel the need to stand on it, walk on it, and wipe your feet on it, feel free to leave our great country and go somewhere else, because I bet you anything, you ain't gonna fucking do it. You could sit there and give these interviews talking about it could be Chile that we take control over, it could be back in Africa we take control over, it could be Detroit, it could be Texas, but we will take over something, and it will be all for the black race. I'm sorry to say it, Malik, it ain't gonna happen. So if I was you, I would feel free to go to any fucking country you want to, but I'm willing to bet, Malik, you won't do it. You want to sit there in your nice little press fucking suit and try to make other people do shit for you. Matter of fact, Malik, you were kicked out of the Nation of Islam because they said that your viewpoint was too outrageous for their organization. And that says a lot, because that organization is extremely violent themselves. So, with that being said, that's what you're spewing out. You're spewing out a bunch of hatred that even the Nation of Islam considered too much. And that's really surprised me, because the Nation of Islam also are extremely violent towards other races. They're also extremely violent towards interracial relationships. As a matter of fact, I got a friend of mine, Ali, that is from the Middle East. And he is a true Muslim. And he told me the Nation of Islam is nothing more than brainwashed radicals. And they are not truly Muslims at all. Not a one of them. And that's not the first time I heard it, by the way. I keep going back to that because they're one of the most wealthiest African-American organizations ever. And yeah, they do some charity events. They do. But at the same time they're doing charity events, guess what they're doing when the cameras aren't on? See, this is the thing. You're just as bad as the Klan is. And you're just as bad as the neo-Nazis are. Sorry, nationalists. Let me rephrase that, because that's the term they like to say. We're not Nazis, we're nationalists. No, you're a fucking Nazi. No, you're fucking racist fucking Peckerwood. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that yells at somebody else for being in an interracial relationship, they're racist. Pure, cut, dry, simple. There's no other way to look at that. Especially when you're willing to attack them. Now, check this out. I watched the Black Panther Party, the new one, go to a rally in New York City that is a common African-American celebration. They beat up a black guy for being with the white woman, saying that he isn't a true black man. Is that a non-racist organization? Is that a group that's fighting for the black man? Because it looks to me like they just attacked the fuck out of him simply for having a white girlfriend, because they don't believe in that. Guess what? That action right there is the exact same thing the Ku Klux Klan will do. Is the exact same thing as a white nationalist would do. It's the exact same thing La Raza would do. La Raza is a group that's interesting because they're very good at covering up their tracks. Not a lot of information is out there unless you're into that realm of expertise. If you're not, I highly think that you should, because they are growing just as fast as the NBP is growing, just as fast is the nationalists are growing. They're all growing at an alarming rate. The reason why they're growing at an alarming rate is because the media is too chick of shit to report on it. That is the reason why they're able to grow so fast. As long as the major news networks refuse to report on it, they could do stuff in the shadows. And people, they are. In Europe right now, there's nationalist group running for political office in different countries because of the simple fact that they're preying on the actions of what their government did. What I mean by that is when the citizens of their country said, we don't have enough resources, quit allowing these illegal immigrants into our country, and their governments did it anyways, well, these other groups came around and said, don't you hate that shit? Join us. We're going to fight to stop it. And their numbers are fucking tripling. Now, the same type of thing is going on. in other areas. They actually are doing it. La Raza does have educated people that are college level professors that are trying to run for our own political system. The reason why they're doing this is they hope that by gaining a person within Congress, Supreme Court, whatever else, then they can start taking actions to recreate different bills until they achieve what they want to achieve. At the same time, they are also recruiting street gang members to do lower level actions against other races. They are willing to work with other races to achieve their viewpoint. That's what I meant by they are similar to the Black Panther Party, because the original Black Panther Party would use other races for their cause. But when they're done with that, they're done. A lot of them will say they're nothing more than peasants anyways. I find it interesting that every one of these hate-filled groups say our race is better than your race. They all want purity. They all want segregation. They all believe they're better than everybody else. This is a trend that is going on to the point to where I'm surprised it isn't trending on social media with a hashtag or something going viral, because that's how fast it's growing. I think the only reason why is people are afraid to talk about it. It's an uncomfortable thing. Not everybody wants to talk about race relations. Not everybody wants to talk about racism. Not everybody wants to acknowledge it still exists. Well, it is. And it's growing. Rapidly freaking growing. The Klan has even came out with accepting other races to join them as well, to fight against illegal immigrants. See, understand, every one of these groups are given rebirth based on what the citizens are screaming and our government not taking chairs. Not just our government, world governments. When the world governments ignore what the citizens say, these hate groups will come in and try to promise them the world so they can gain in numbers, so they can accomplish what they want to do. Most of the time, they're stopped. But this time, the world is such on edge, everybody's fucking triggered, and everybody's afraid to talk about it. Everybody's afraid to talk about it because everybody's so easily triggered over it that they're like, oh God, I can't talk about that because then everybody's going to get triggered and then I'll be a bad guy, wah, wah, wah. So they're afraid to report it. Well, this time around, they're actually tripling in numbers. It's astonishing. If you don't believe me, go to the famous law site that for racial stuff, and you'll see how fast they're growing. They have a Nation of Islam sect in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. They have the new Black Panther Party set in Tulsa. They have anti-Jewish leagues in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. They have them in Kansas. They have them in Texas. They have them in Arkansas. They have them in Missouri. People, they're growing to the point to where you can't even see the United States map anymore because of how many different groups they have. The only way they're accomplish this is because nobody's talking about it. When you don't talk about it and you don't acknowledge it, you allow it to fester and fucking grow until the point that it becomes an inferno so big that no one's going to be able to put out. You know what I mean? And at that point, what are you going to do? Because there was a time period in our history where I believe that people were beat up for the same thing. And that sparked the civil rights movement. Are we going to have another one of those? Only this time I feel like it'll be different if it did happen. Because it's not just prejudice against black people. It's not just prejudice against Mexicans. They're being prejudiced towards everybody. There is a group for everybody. Don't matter what shade you are, there is a group out there. It's kind of like, oh, you have a problem with those two guys kissing? Come join our group. You have a problem with that white dude over there? Come join our group. Hey, white guy, you have a problem with that group over there? Come join our group. Let's fight about it. That's basically what they're doing. Oh, your country isn't doing enough for illegal immigration? Well, come join our cause. Together, we can make this happen. People, that's what it's really about. It's called brainwashing for a reason. You know what I'm saying? They respond to what the thing is. That's the whole point of what I was trying to say earlier when I said that almost every single case of the time, no matter when you look at it, every single time period in history, they have grown in numbers due to worldwide events. Right now, immigration is a huge, huge, massive deal across the whole globe. It's not just a mass deal here. Yeah, you might hear Trump is doing this and that, but guess what? It's a bigger deal in other countries. Italy's in hot water right now because they're not letting them in their country. Sweden's not letting them. Countries are starting to respond to it. This is creating a huge inferno. So when I say it's happening globally, understand it is happening globally. You also have groups in Africa right now, in South Africa, that are killing white people in South Africa that have been there for so long. They don't know anything else other than Africa. Yeah, at one point it was taken over by another country, but you're talking generations and generations and generations and generations that don't know anything else. And they're trying to kill them. And they're doing it at an alarming rate. The same person that's doing it said, I heard what the new Black Panther Party said, what the Nation of Islam has said, and Black Lives Matter said. He literally said Black Lives Matter. He said the police are killing our people over there. We're going to start killing them over here. That's what he said. And he smiled when he said it. So people need to understand that these actions have dire consequences and they're happening everywhere. It's not just somewhere small anymore. This is happening everywhere. I'm very much against racism on every level. I don't care what shade you are. If I hear you say something racist, I'm going to call it like I see it. You're a fucking racist. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Now, if you say you're against illegal immigration for financial reasons, for the infrastructure of your country, for the infrastructure of our society, because you understand from the numbers that it's not a good thing, I'm most likely going to understand and most likely be sympathetic and most likely want to have a conversation with you about it because I'm very educated in that area. However, most people spewing off this shit are not. You know what I mean? That's the difference. You have educated people talking about it. You have uneducated people talking about it. There is a huge movement going on worldwide. I think it's going to hit it. I think the shit's really going to hit the fan very, very fucking soon. You got to understand this stuff because the lack of understanding is creating it. I have a theory that in America alone, the reason why there's so many different hate groups growing from all different races is the lack of education. Because for the past, I read an article about it. For the past, I believe, I want to say 10 years, schools have felt like they cannot teach certain parts of history and certain events of social causes because they're afraid of triggering somebody and offending them. So they just simply don't teach it anymore. Well, that right there has made it to where somebody watches something on YouTube with some fucking person saying, you need to join our cause because of this and that. And they go, hell yeah, I'm going to jump on board with that. But they don't have no understanding about what they're talking about. That is the fucking problem, is the lack of education with it. The lack of correspondence about it. The lack of the fact that you don't see this shit on CNN is very upsetting to me. But yet, if you pull up other countries' news and what they're talking about, you're going to fucking see it. And you're going to see what's really going on. Why our news media isn't reporting on it, I couldn't tell you. But I'm pretty sure it has to do with different political parties. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to talk about what's really going on, but it's happening. And it's happening fast. I'm a history buff. And I don't even think in the 40s it was this bad is what it actually is. But it's pretty bad and it's growing faster. And I really do feel like social media plays a huge part in that. Because I feel like it's so easy for people to communicate that it makes them grow faster. You know, back in the day, you'd have to wait for the mail to run, or you'd have to go to a rally, or you'd have to join an actual organization to develop an understanding of what's going on. Nowadays, it's just a click away. Just a click away. But I'm sorry to be so upset about it, but that's what I meant by the other day when I said it could trigger some people, because the truth is, you don't get a pass because of your nationality. You really don't. If you're spewing off racist dogma, I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're Asian. I don't care if you're Latin. I don't care if you have a green spot in the middle of your face. I don't care if you're yellow. I don't care if you're orange. I don't care if you're cream. I don't even care if you're pink. If you say racist things to me, you are racist. It's just that simple. You have to have an educated background to make me feel otherwise. Bring me an argument, right? An actual educated argument about it where you're showing me verified, educated facts. I don't want to hear these facts about how the rural governments lied on school textbooks and that's the reason why you don't know about it. That's a bullshit fucking cop-out. That's a way for you to try to say, I need to believe you without any credibility whatsoever simply because you're trying to use something that works on other ignorant people. It's not going to work on me. It's not going to work. And that's the problem. And I hear it all the time and I see it all the time. I see these people that have no clue. Believe it or not, the Democrat Party created the Ku Klux Klan because the Republican Party stood for freedom. They didn't want racism. I mean, okay, granted, some of them might have been racist, but they didn't want slavery anymore. The Democrat Party did. Wake up and realize that. Because they elected Obama to try to make you forget that fact. You know what I mean? Majority of the Klan members are registered Democrats. Majority of racist organizations in a whole lean towards that political affiliation simply because of the fact that they have a leftist agenda. That's why they call the new Black Panther Party a leftist racial movement. Ku Klux Klan is a leftist racial movement. La Raza is classified as a racist leftist social movement. They're all labeled the same thing for a reason. Why is that? Why is that? It won't take a genius to figure it out. Really, it won't. You got to understand these things, man, because they're getting away with whatever they want to. Because everybody's just chicken shit to talk about it. It really boggles my mind that so many people are scared to talk about the truth. And then when you bring it up, they just want to like slide the subject to something else because they don't want to like, you know what I mean, even go into it. But at the same time, they kind of secretly want to go into it. They're just afraid of what people's reactions and hearing it will be. So I say people need to start getting educated. Do some research about these groups. Before you go into your stigma about what you believe race relationships should be like and what you believe they are, please do the world a favor and research what you're talking about. Because when you really look at it, black and white, right in front of you, what you realize is the new Black Panther Party sounds a lot like the Ku Klux Klan. The nationalist movement sounds a hell of a like the Nation of Islam. Racist skinheads sound a lot like La Raza. They all say the same thing. They're all wanting the same thing. The only difference is the shade of their skin. That is legit. The only difference is the color of their skin. They're all saying the same thing. They all hate gay people. They all hate the Catholic Church. They all hate Jews. They all hate the gay community. They all hate interracial dating. They all want segregation. They're all fighting for the same damn thing. The only difference is they got a different shade on their skin. That's the only difference. Really, that is. The only slightest other difference is some of them might try to appear to be more educated than the other ones. But really, they're just as bad. Just as bad, honestly. And they're all extremely violent. Don't give me this crap about, hey, over here in this bad neighborhood, they bought a bunch of turkeys for everybody. So now they're a charity organization. And they're doing so much for our community. But at the same time, they're not. As a matter of fact, let me go back to what I said before. The Nation of Islam is rumored to have assassinated Malcolm X simply because he had a falling out with them over Islamic beliefs. His daughter even talks about it in numerous interviews. You know, how is that supporting the brotherhood? How is that supporting each other? I say it's time for us to get back to help out your fellow man. Fuck all this other stuff of being better than the next person because you're no better than the next person. I don't care what color you are. We're to the point now in our time period in history to where everybody is capable of achieving the same things. Everybody's capable of going to school. Everybody's capable of getting grants. Everybody's capable of going after whatever career they want. Everybody's capable of it. Everybody's capable of doing anything that they want to. And don't give me the crap about the police brutality, because I'll be honest with you. If you're in a bad neighborhood, you're going to get fucked with by the police. That's as simple as that. Go to a white bad neighborhood. Bet you see them getting fucked with too. Go to a black neighborhood. I bet you see them getting fucked with. Go to a Mexican neighborhood. They're probably getting fucked with. If it's a bad neighborhood that's known for prostitution, that's known for gang activity, the reason why I say that is we're not talking about neighborhoods. Like, you know, they try to label it like black neighborhood or Mexican neighborhood. It's not a color neighborhood. It's just a bad side of town. You know, it's just where people can afford to live at. You know what I mean? They're not out there like freaking wearing sheets and getting out of their cars. There's black officers that have gave interviews that said they're just as scared as their fellow white officers are to pull over somebody nowadays, and they're black. This is what I mean. This isn't a movement about peace. This is a movement about war. They want war. And if they think that you're on the opposite side, then they will attack you. Don't matter what color you are, and they'll try to justify it by calling you some other term. I'm not going to go into the terms because I don't want to get in trouble, but we all know what they are. You know what I mean? I could drop hints too, but I'll probably get in trouble for that. So I'm not going to do that. What I will say is we all know the terms. So when you look at modern racism, you need to understand a couple things. Understand dogma, understand history, understand sociology, understand technology, understand media. All those 5 things are huge contributors to the problem. They're massive. They're like the size of freaking skyscrapers. Okay? Now, I am planning on doing a part 2 of that. This is just the first part of it. So I am planning on doing a part 2, just like I'm planning on doing a part 2 of the other one. So just bear with me for that. Hope I didn't offend anybody. If you have any key thoughts, feel free to message me. You can always leave me a voicemail, and I'll gladly get back to you if you provide me some details of how to, and we can actually hash it out and have an educated discussion about it. I will not discourage that. In fact, I will encourage that. Go ahead and leave me a message, and I'll get back to you about it. We can actually do something. Who knows? Maybe we can accomplish something, because right now, I think we need a peace movement. We need hippies to come back. We need a peace movement. We need a peace movement like the earth like people need water to survive. Everybody, I hope you have a good one, and look forward to episode 2, because I will be working on it.